Do you ever feel like native English speakers talk way too fast? You're not alone. It can be super frustrating, right? But what if I told you that with just a few minutes of listening every day, you could start understanding English and speaking like a pro? Hey, welcome to the EchoMind English Planet, for people who want to speak English with more confidence and joy. I'm Mia, and I'm here to help you speak English more naturally, step by step, day by day. Today, we're going to practice slow English listening. If you've ever struggled to understand fast English, don't worry. You're in the right place. We'll go slow, break it down, and help you understand more clearly and speak with more confidence. This is perfect for anyone just starting out in English, especially if you're at an A1 or A2 level. Have you ever heard someone speak English and it seems like they're talking a mile a minute? And you can only catch a few words here and there? What if I told you there's an easy way to understand it all, without getting stressed out? In today's episode, I'll speak slowly and clearly, and we'll practice together. I'll guide you step by step so you can catch every word, get used to the rhythm of the language, and speak more confidently. If you're a beginner, don't worry, this is exactly what you need. But here's the cool part. Slow listening is not just about hearing words. It's about feeling the rhythm, hearing the sounds, and getting comfortable with speaking. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to follow real English conversations with no problem. Let's get started. So, you're ready to start understanding English at a slower pace, right? But what if I told you that just listening to someone speak slowly can change the way you hear English forever? Let's dive in. Slow English listening is simple but super effective. Here's how it works. We're going to take everyday sentences, slow them down, and practice listening carefully. You'll hear every word clearly, and then you'll repeat after me. It's like learning how to ride a bike. You need to start slow before you can go faster. Let's start with an easy sentence. I'll say it slowly, and I want you to repeat after me. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to the store. You say it slowly. I'm going to the store. Now you try it. Say it just like I did. I'm going to the store. Great job! Don't worry if it feels slow at first. This is exactly what you need to build confidence in understanding and speaking English. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Now that you've got the hang of it, let's add a little more challenge. How about we practice with some new sentences that you can use every day? Here's a great tip. Choose simple, everyday sentences to practice slow listening. Phrases like, I'm making breakfast, or I'm going for a walk are perfect. The more you practice with sentences that you'll actually use, the faster you'll start understanding English in real life. Let's try another one. Repeat after me. I'm going to work today. You say it slowly. I'm going to work today. Nice. Keep practicing these kinds of sentences, and soon you'll feel more comfortable with English at any speed. This might seem slow now, but trust me, it works. And when you start listening to faster English, you'll notice how much easier it is to understand. But here's a secret. Listening isn't the only thing that helps. Next up, we're going to talk about how you can speak more naturally using slow practice. All right, now that we've been practicing slow listening, what if I told you that speaking can be just as easy as listening? It's all about repeating after me, nice and slow. Here's the thing. Listening helps you understand the language, but speaking helps you use it. The more you speak, the better your fluency becomes. And don't worry, it doesn't have to be fast. Take it slow. So, how about we start practicing some speaking with the sentences we've already learned? I'm going to say the sentence slowly, and I want you to repeat after me. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to the store today. You say it slowly. I'm going to the store today. Now your turn. Say it just like I did. I'm going to the store today. Nice job. How did it feel? The more you do this, the easier it will get. Speaking slowly is a great way to make sure you're pronouncing words clearly and correctly. One great way to improve your pronunciation is by repeating sentences over and over, like a song. The more you repeat, the more natural it will sound. Don't rush it. Take your time. Let's try another sentence. It's something you might say to a friend. I'm going to meet my friend later. You say it slowly. I'm going to meet my friend later. Now your turn. Say it slowly. I'm going to meet my friend later. Great. Keep practicing this with sentences you use every day. It'll help you sound more natural and confident. You're doing awesome. Now imagine how much easier it will get when we start practicing faster sentences. But hold up. We'll get to that soon. First, let's focus on using these sentences in real-life situations. The key to fluency is using these sentences in real life. So, next time you're talking to someone, try saying these slow sentences, even if you're just talking to yourself. For example, when you're at the store, you can say in English, I'm looking for some bread. It's simple, but it's real-life practice. The more you practice speaking out loud, the faster you'll feel comfortable in conversations. And the best part? You'll be able to speak more clearly and confidently, even when you're talking to native speakers. Sounds easy, right? But here's the exciting part. Once you're confident speaking slowly, we'll work on speeding up without losing your fluency. Let's get into that in the next section. All right, now that you've been practicing slow listening and speaking, how would it feel if you could actually use these sentences in your daily life? Imagine having an English conversation, but at your own pace. Here's the thing. Practice isn't just about listening to me or repeating after me. It's about using English in real-life situations. The more you use what you've learned in your daily life, the more natural it will feel to speak English. Let's talk about going to the store. When you walk into a store, try thinking in English. For example, you might say, I need some milk. Try saying that out loud, I need some milk. Simple, right? You don't need to worry about sounding perfect. Just practice speaking in English while you're doing everyday things. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. What about meeting up with a friend? You can use your slow English to start a conversation. For instance, you can say, I'm meeting my friend later. Repeat after me, I'm meeting my friend later. Now say it in your own way. I'm meeting my friend later. Perfect. These are sentences that you'll use in everyday conversations. Don't be afraid to say them out loud, even if you're practicing by yourself. One of the best ways to build confidence is to practice with a partner. But if you don't have someone to practice with, no worries. You can practice by talking to yourself. When you're walking down the street, talking to yourself in English is an amazing way to practice. You don't have to worry about mistakes, just talk. Start small. Maybe you say, I'm getting on the bus, or I'm cooking dinner. These are simple sentences, but they make a huge difference when you use them every day. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to speak naturally, even when the conversation speeds up. This is where the magic happens. Once you start using these sentences in your daily routine, your confidence will grow. And the best part? It gets easier every time you practice. But now let's take it to the next level by practicing faster English. All right, now that you've been practicing slow English, how do you feel? Confident? Comfortable? Well, now it's time to take it up a notch. What if I told you that by speaking faster, you could improve your fluency even more? I know, it sounds a little scary. You've been practicing at a slow pace, and it feels nice and easy, right? But here's the thing. Practicing with faster English is just as important. It helps you sound more natural, like a native speaker, and it's the next step in your journey to fluency. explaining the importance of speed. Now, I'm not talking about racing through sentences. No, it's about gradually increasing the speed so that you're still understanding every word, but speaking at a more natural pace. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. At first, you're slow and steady, but once you get the hang of it, you can go faster with ease. Let's try it together. First, I'm going to say the sentence slowly. I'm going to visit my grandmother this weekend. Now, repeat after me slowly. I'm going to visit my grandmother this weekend. Great! Now, let's try it just a little faster. I'm going to visit my grandmother this weekend. Keep the rhythm, but don't rush. Feel the words as you say them. It's really important to remember. Clarity is key. Don't worry about speaking as fast as a native speaker right away. Instead, focus on making each word clear. Speed will come naturally as you get more comfortable. When you speak faster, you might make a few mistakes. That's okay. The goal is to make your sentences sound natural, and with practice, it will happen. One of the best ways to practice faster English is by listening to real-life conversations and repeating what you hear. For example, watch a video or listen to a podcast, then try to mimic what you hear, at first slowly and then gradually faster. It's like having a mini workout for your speaking skills. You're doing great! By practicing faster, you'll start to feel more confident speaking in real situations. But don't rush. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. Next, let's take this a step further and talk about how to keep your English practice going, even when you're busy. Focus on how learners can apply their skills in real conversations, especially when speaking to others. You've been practicing slow listening, then stepping up to faster English. But here's the real question. How do you feel about actually speaking to someone in English? Do you get nervous? What if I told you that the secret to fluency is speaking without fear? I get it. Speaking English, especially with native speakers, can feel intimidating. You might be afraid of making mistakes or sounding funny. But here's the truth. Mistakes are normal. They're part of learning. If you're not making mistakes, you're probably not trying hard enough. But here's the thing. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through practice. So let's talk about how you can get more comfortable speaking English in real conversations. You don't have to jump into a big conversation with a native speaker right away. Start small. Speak with yourself, or practice with friends or language partners. You don't have to worry about sounding perfect. Just focus on communicating. For example, let's say you're meeting a friend for coffee. Instead of worrying about every word, just try saying, "I'd like a coffee, please." Don't stress about pronunciation, just say it with confidence. One great way to start building confidence is by talking to yourself in English. Sounds weird? Trust me, it works. When you're walking, cleaning, or even cooking, start thinking in English and say things out loud. Like, "I'm making lunch." "I need to call my friend later." You'll be surprised how quickly this builds your confidence. Remember how we practiced speaking slowly? This is the perfect time to use that slow English practice in real conversations. If you're nervous, start speaking slowly to give yourself time to think. As you feel more confident, you can increase your speed. Slow doesn't mean weak. Speaking slowly gives you control, and it helps you pronounce words clearly. Plus, native speakers will respect your effort to speak their language. Keep practicing this method, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. In fact, when you make a mistake, you learn. Every time you speak, you're improving, even if it doesn't feel like it. And trust me, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Let's say you're at a party or in a casual setting and you want to practice English. Start by making small comments to others. For example, you might say, "This party is so much fun. Or, I love this music. Don't worry about sounding perfect. Just speak up. Small conversations will help you feel more natural and less self-conscious. The more you practice speaking, the more natural it will feel, and the faster you'll progress. But here's the exciting part. What if I told you that there's a way to keep improving, even when you're not speaking? Let's talk about some tips for continuing to learn when you're not in conversation. You've been practicing slow listening, speaking confidently, and breaking through your fears. But what happens when you're not actively studying? How can you keep improving when you're just going about your day-to-day life? The truth is, language learning doesn't have to happen in a classroom. You can learn English while doing your regular tasks. Whether you're working, cooking, exercising, or just walking outside, there are simple ways to practice that don't take extra time. Let's start with something simple: your daily chores. Whether you're washing the dishes or cleaning up, why not listen to English podcasts or audiobooks? You can multitask by listening to something in English and absorbing the language while doing everyday things. Imagine this. You're folding laundry, and in the background, you're listening to a podcast in English. You might not understand every word, but your brain is still picking up on the rhythm, pronunciation, and vocabulary. Another trick is to change your environment. If you're on your phone all the time, switch your settings to English. Every time you unlock your phone, you'll see English words like settings, battery, and notifications. This is passive learning, but it's powerful. You're learning English without even trying. The more you surround yourself with English, the more natural it becomes. Even when you're out for a walk, you can practice your English. Describe the world around you in English as you walk. For example, I'm walking down the street. The sky is clear today. It might feel strange at first, but it's an easy way to practice speaking and get your mind thinking in English. Remember, you don't need to set aside hours every day to improve. Just small, consistent steps make a big difference. Whether you're listening to English while driving or thinking in English while doing errands, every little bit counts. The best part is, this doesn't feel like extra work. It becomes part of your lifestyle. But what if I told you there's one more simple way to integrate English into your day? Let's explore that in the next tip. You've been practicing slow English, building confidence, and using English in your daily life. But now let's take things to the next level. What if you could practice English with real native speakers and make it fun? The next step in becoming fluent is exposing yourself to native content. That means podcasts, movies, TV shows, and videos made by native speakers. But here's the twist. We're not just going to watch or listen passively. No, we're going to practice actively by repeating and mimicking what we hear. Let's start with something easy. Imagine you're watching your favorite movie or TV show in English. Let's say it's a comedy. Pick a scene you love and listen closely. Once you catch a sentence, you pause, and try to repeat it. Don't just repeat the words. Mimic the tone, the speed, and the emotion behind it. For example, let's say a character says, "You're killing me with that joke." Now you repeat it, "You're killing me with that joke." Do it with the same energy as the character. This helps with pronunciation, fluency, and even learning slang. Another great way to practice is by listening to YouTube videos with native speakers. You don't have to understand everything. The key is to listen, pause, and repeat after them. Pick topics that interest you, whether it's cooking, tech, travel, or comedy. Whatever keeps you excited. Try this next time. Find a video you like, and after each sentence or phrase, pause the video, repeat it, and see if you can match the speed and tone. Doing this will help you sound more like a native speaker. Now let's talk about real conversations. It can be intimidating to speak with native speakers, but it doesn't have to be. Look for language exchange groups or apps where you can practice with real people. Even a 10-minute conversation will help you improve. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's about using English to communicate. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. The more you speak, the easier it will get. Feeling nervous? That's totally normal. But remember, confidence comes with practice. Start with simple conversations. Ask about their day, talk about a movie, or ask for recommendations on something. Anything that makes you feel comfortable. And here's a trick. Use slow listening practice to help you in conversations. If you're nervous, don't rush. Take your time, use the slow phrases you've learned, and gradually speed up as you feel more comfortable. Using native content and engaging with real English speakers is the ultimate way to take your skills to the next level. But there's one more thing we can do to make these conversations even easier. In the next part, let's dive into some advanced listening strategies to really boost your fluency. So, you've been practicing slow listening and speaking, and even talking to real English speakers. But now, let's take things up a notch. What if I told you that you could easily follow conversations at full speed, even with slang, jokes, and fast talk? Now we're diving into advanced listening strategies. This isn't about just hearing words. It's about fully understanding fast-paced conversations and getting comfortable with how native speakers talk in real life. You might be thinking, but how can I understand when people speak so quickly? Well, the secret is practice, and I'm here to show you how to make this process easier. One of the best ways to improve is by listening to real-world conversations at a faster pace. Start by finding podcasts, interviews, or even YouTube videos where people speak quickly but naturally. The key is to repeat after them, just like we practiced with slow English, but this time at a faster pace. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. It's about getting used to the rhythm of real English, the way it flows in everyday situations. Here's a great tip. Start by listening to the content once at normal speed. Then rewind it and listen to it again at 1.5 times or 2 times speed. At first, it may sound like they're talking super fast, but you'll quickly notice that you begin to understand more. Try it with a short clip, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and repeat what you hear. The idea is to keep increasing the speed gradually. This will train your brain to process the language faster, just like a native speaker. Sometimes, listening to fast English can feel like trying to catch a moving target. So, break it down. Let's say you hear someone say, "You're gonna love this new movie. It's hilarious." Now, repeat it, but break it into parts. "You're gonna love this new movie. It's hilarious." Say each part out loud and then say the whole sentence again. It might feel slower at first, but trust me, you'll catch the flow faster in time. Native speakers often use slang or casual phrases that are hard to catch. For example, you might hear someone say, "That's fire," in response to something they really like. Let's break that down slowly and practice it. First, say, "That's fire." Now say it again, but a little faster. "That's fire!" Another advanced strategy is watching movies or TV shows in English with subtitles. Start with the English subtitles, so you can follow along and match what you're hearing with the written words. The reason this helps is that it shows you how words are spoken in real-time conversations. Fast movies or shows will teach you how to catch words on the fly and understand how people speak naturally, even with slang, accents, and casual phrases. This is how you'll start to understand native English speakers at full speed. But there's one more thing we need to talk about: how to keep improving when you're not actively listening. Let's move on to that in the next part. So now you're getting the hang of faster English, and you're able to understand and speak more fluently. But here's the big question. How do you keep all that new language in your brain? What if I told you there are simple tricks to make English stick for good? You've probably experienced this. You learn a new phrase or vocabulary, but after a while, you forget it. This is a normal part of learning a language. The key to retaining what you've learned is repetition and finding fun ways to practice that feel natural. One of the most powerful techniques for retaining vocabulary is spaced repetition. This means reviewing what you've learned at increasing intervals. You might learn a new word today, then review it again in a few days, and then again a week later. This technique helps your brain keep the information by refreshing it at the right time, preventing you from forgetting words. You can use apps or flashcards to practice this. But the important thing is, keep revisiting words and phrases so they don't slip away. Another fun and effective way to keep practicing is by writing in English every day. It doesn't have to be long, just a few sentences. For example, you can write about what you did that day or how you're feeling. Here's an example. Today I went to the park and walked my dog. The weather was nice and sunny. Write in simple sentences, but try to use new words and phrases you've learned. Writing helps you retain vocabulary and reinforces sentence structures. Plus, it makes it easier to use English in real conversations. Now, here's a trick that most people don't think about. Use English in your messages and social media posts. Try writing posts on Instagram or Facebook in English, or text your friends in English. Even if you only write 1 or 2 sentences a day, it helps you build your confidence. For example, you might write something simple like, "I just finished my workout. It feels good to be active." This keeps English in your daily life, and it's a fun way to practice. I know it can feel like there's a lot to learn, but the most important thing is staying consistent. If you do a little bit of practice every day, even just 5 to 10 minutes, your English will improve faster than you think. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Now that you have these retention tricks, what's next? How can you make sure that fluency comes naturally and without effort? In the next part, I'm going to share how to immerse yourself in English even more, so you can keep growing your skills day by day. You've come a long way in improving your English. But what happens when you reach a point where you feel like you're stuck or hitting a wall? What if I told you that you can keep growing by immersing yourself in English every day? One of the fastest ways to continue improving your English is by immersing yourself in the language as much as possible. But what does immersion really mean? It's all about surrounding yourself with English, making it a part of your daily life. The more you hear, read, and use English every day, the quicker your brain will start thinking in English, and the easier it becomes to speak, listen, and understand. Choose shows or movies that interest you, and make sure to turn on English subtitles. This way you can see the words as they're spoken, which will help with understanding and pronunciation. Start by watching your favorite shows then. As you get more comfortable, try watching without subtitles. It's challenging, but it really helps improve your listening and comprehension. Another great immersion technique is to read in English every day. This could be a short story, an article, or even your favorite blog. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Just keep reading and try to guess the meaning from the context. The more you read, the more words and phrases you'll learn. It also helps you get used to how English is written, making it easier to understand when you hear it spoken. Of course, speaking English is the best way to keep improving. So, how can you find opportunities to speak? Start by looking for language exchange partners, where you can chat with someone who wants to learn your native language. Even if you're shy, try texting or sending voice messages to get started. The more you engage with real English speakers, the faster you'll improve your speaking skills. The key to maintaining your progress is consistency. Small daily actions can lead to big results over time. Remember, even when you're not actively studying, you're still learning if you keep using English in your life. Just make sure you're practicing every day, and you'll see incredible progress. You're doing amazing, but here's the best part. Once you've mastered these strategies, you'll find that learning English becomes more natural. It won't feel like hard work anymore. Want to know how to take your English to the next level? Let's dive into that in the next episode. So, you've been learning English, and you're making amazing progress. But here's the big question. How do you keep this momentum going and avoid hitting a plateau? What if I told you that fluency isn't a destination? It's a lifelong journey. Here's the truth. Language learning doesn't stop. Even once you're fluent, there's always more to learn. But don't worry, that doesn't mean it's going to get harder. In fact, with the right strategies, it's going to get easier over time. So, let's talk about how to keep building on what you've learned and make English a natural part of your life so you can continue improving without feeling stressed or overwhelmed. One of the best ways to keep the momentum going is by setting small, achievable goals. For example, you can decide to learn 5 new words a day or practice speaking for 10 minutes each day. These little wins add up and keep you motivated. When you set small goals, you can track your progress more easily and celebrate your wins along the way. Don't worry about reaching perfection. Instead, focus on the small improvements that come from consistent practice. If you've been practicing for 10 minutes a day, great! Remember, the goal isn't to add hours of study to your day. It's about finding ways to add English into your life naturally. If you haven't already, start immersing yourself in English media. Movies, podcasts, news, YouTube channels, social media, anything that excites you. The more you hear the language in real-life situations, the easier it will become to understand and speak. Learning doesn't have to be boring. In fact, it should be fun. At this point, you've built up some great habits. But the key to fluency is staying consistent. Even if you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just keep going. Remember, it's the small daily actions that add up and keep your skills sharp. You're doing an amazing job so far, and with these strategies, you're going to keep getting better every day. But what's next? How do you level up even further? Stay tuned, because in the next episode, we'll dive into advanced speaking techniques to help you sound like a true native speaker. Now let me ask you, how does it feel to know that you're on the path to speaking English like a native? Are you ready to keep pushing forward and improving every day? Let's quickly review everything you've learned in this episode. You started by practicing slow English listening, then moved on to speaking with confidence. We worked on integrating English into your daily life and challenged you with faster English to build fluency. And now, you're ready to continue improving with simple, fun strategies that make learning natural and enjoyable. But remember, this is just the beginning. Language learning is a journey, not a destination. Some days will be easier than others. But as long as you keep practicing and staying consistent, you'll continue improving. Fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. You've already made incredible strides, and I'm so proud of you for sticking with it. You don't need to dedicate hours of study every day to see big results. It's those small daily actions like listening to English podcasts, repeating sentences, and practicing speaking that make all the difference in the long run. So keep up the hard work. Whether it's 10 minutes of listening, 5 minutes of speaking, or reading a short English article, every little bit counts toward your goal. Now it's time to put everything into practice. I want you to start using these tips today. Find a sentence, repeat it, listen to English, or even talk to yourself in English while doing something else. Keep going and keep challenging yourself. And remember, never stop learning. If you found this episode helpful, Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Next time, we'll dive into even more advanced techniques to help you sound like a true native speaker and continue to level up your English skills. You've got this. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep learning. English is a skill you can always improve, and the more you practice, the more natural it will feel. I'll see you next time.